नमस्कार, फिर पैसा बोलता है में आपका स्वागत है। मैं आनंद श्रीनिवासन। आज हम हॉट टेक्स करेंगे। हॉट टेक्स में 2-3 दिन का जो न्यूज़ डेवलपमेंट है उसके बारे में मैं पूछेगा, मैं उसका जवाब दूंगा। लेकिन अगले ये दिन तो अंग्रेज़ी में होगा। फिर से जब मार्केट में कुछ डेवलपमेंट होगी हम हिंदी में बात करेंगे। द सेम पब्लिक, when he asked for a rights issue at 70 rupees, it was undersubscribed and he had to buy the shares.
Correct.
When he gave Tata DVR, it was again undersubscribed and the promoter picked up the share.
Correct.
So what you are all, most of these guys who talk to you are fair weather friends. In the sense that if the stock is really doing well, you want to come up and say it is mine. When the company is in tough times, what I am trying to say is, when the times are good, you want everything. When times are bad, you want to run. It doesn't work like that. You are still owner of the company.
So what is this coming year? What do you feel with the cycle of elections happening in India and in US? Your view on gold?
My view, elections have nothing to do with gold. Gold is completely dependent on US monetary policy. Gold should today be at 1,500. It's already at 2,000. So the moment inflation drops, if today, tomorrow some data is expected. If inflation drops in US, gold is going to go up Monday, Tuesday. And if they cut rates, gold will just take off. So gold is just waiting to take off. Unless US tightens further, which looks very unlikely. So if US cut rates 3 times or 4 times this year, you will have gold at 2,600, 2,700. That is the exact reason why you are considering Manapur.
So what did the major economists of the world who are looking at the global economy and all, what did they get wrong last year? Because last year everyone said recession was sure, pandemic recession was going to come. What was the mistake?
The first thing is nobody saw inflation coming. The difference between what was there before, easing before and easing today is, before the whole thing was fine, there was financial repression, meaning that the money was trapped in the financial system. When money was bailed out in 2008, inflation didn't come. Why did inflation come this time? In 2008, the money stayed with the banks and the financial institutions and the big financiers. And it didn't come to the people because they were not getting the money. The banks were lending to people who were willing, who were good security. So the middle class and the poor didn't get the money. The rich got the money. This time what was different is during the pandemic, government borrowed and gave it to the poor. There was cash transfer to the poor. So since there was cash transfer and tax break to the poor, the middle class and the upper middle class, they had access to money and that shot up the... And with more than goods inflation, what you had was services inflation.
Correct.
That is because people had more spending power.
What you're saying is true. Correct. I agree with that. Now what they're saying is, because of all what you said, those factors, there's been actually a slow growth in commercial loans and leases in US, which is of significant concern because if companies are not borrowing money, there's no economic expansion. That means businesses are not investing in expanding, creating jobs.
No, they are not. They are trying. Everybody is waiting to see when the Federal Reserve will cut rates. It's like when you will bring back the punch bowl. And also what happens is in commercial mortgages, you don't have locked-in rates like residentials. Maximum you can lock in for 3 years. In come 2025, as the great Munger pointed out, rates have to be reset. They were at 2 and 2.5. Now the rates are 5.5. Even if you cut them by 1/3, and that is 3 cuts, it will still be 4.75. 2.5 to 4.75 is practically doubling commercial loan rate. So there is a problem in the commercial property market in US next year.
Okay. So when this credit growth is lagging behind inflation, does that mean there's economic contraction happening?
There need not be. There has been no economic contraction in America. But always you have to understand, we do not know whether we are in a recession till we have actually gone into it and you are looking at the rearview mirror. So you're looking for data outside. Till the last quarter data, we were not in recession. So if December turns negative and JFM turns negative, you are in recession. Then there is a deep recession and there is a shallow recession. But the way things are looking at in America today, there does not seem to be a recession.
But there seems to be reports of decline in money supply, M2 in the United States, from around 21 trillion, it's coming down to $20 trillion.
That is because the Federal Reserve has stopped buying bonds. See, M3 and M2 are broad money measures. Basically, what is happening is, how did the Federal Reserve pump liquidity into the system? They created new money, gave it to banks and bought bonds from the banks. Now the bonds were lying with, whenever the bonds were expiring and became due, they bought new bonds. Now for the last 1 year, what the Fed has been doing is, they are allowing bonds which are matured. They are not buying back those bonds. If I have got the money, that money is being extinguished, because if it goes to Fed, it's extinguished. So basically what they are doing is, they are reducing the balance sheet of the Fed. Basically they had 100,000 they had X number of bonds. They have X minus Y bonds now. That is why you have M2 reduced by 1 trillion. The Fed is reducing its size of the balance sheet because there was over liquidity. And the Fed has said it will continue to reduce liquidity, and they will allow these bonds to mature. Now when bonds matured, they were buying new bonds to replace them. Now they are allowing the bonds to mature and not buying new bonds.
Recently, Financial Times had written an article about the rule under Modi for 2 terms and given him a glowing report. The economy under Modi has done very well. Did you happen to see that article?
No, I do not. I have not read that article. So I do not know whether it is glowing or not glowing.
No, they're saying stuff like, broadly speaking, Indian economic growth has held up relatively well among large developing economies. One second, I'll just read the main subheadings. The share of Indians living under poverty has fallen. And India's middle class is among the country's fastest growing income group, giving pretty much glowing reports saying India's infant mortality rate has fallen steadily, and unemployment rate is high, but compared to PM level, it is pretty good, it's saying. And women's participation in labor force is one of the lowest in South Asia, which you have been saying, which is not a good thing.
All these trends have been there before Modi.
Correct, that's what I wanted to.
Okay. So you have infant mortality has been falling from independence and is continuing to fall. So there is no glowing report for Modi there. Now the middle classes, actually poverty, according to World Bank, people have gone, after COVID, more people have gone into poverty than before. Number 2.
Correct.
Then number 3, the economy has held up because as a percent of GDP, your GDP has been growing. But as a percent of GDP, debt when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister was 53%. Today it is 80%. So basically your GDP was 100, it has become 120. It was 50 rupees debt, now we have 80 rupees debt, 80 or 90 rupees debt. Soon we will cross 100% of GDP as debt, which means you will have to borrow to pay interest. You are not America where the world is accepting your currency.
Yes, we're not reserve currency.
Yeah, but we had dreams of being reserve currency. So we called it de-dollarization and other things. And we convinced Russia you can buy rupees and you can buy any goods from here at rupees. So Russia sold us a lot of oil for rupees. And he has the rupees and he has no goods to buy from here.
Correct.
So that is the reality.
Yes, he rather buy North Korean missiles.
He rather buy North Korean missiles. Correct.